Hey friends, welcome to our most recent marketing training. I can't really say this week's because we're on a bit of a different schedule recently, although hoping to get back to weekly or bi-weekly. It's weird how having a baby and that kind of thing changes your schedule. We are getting back to it. It's good to be back with you. If you are here with me live, I would love if you said hello. Let me just make sure everything is looking okay. Um, Making sure we're coming through. Excellent. Looks like we are. So if you're joining me live, please say hello. Let me know where you're joining me from. If you're catching the replay, maybe you're with a client right now. That's always an excellent reason to not make this marketing training, or you're just seeing this maybe a couple months later. I would love if you dropped a hashtag replay into the comments. That will make sure that I see any questions or comments you may have, because anything that we talk about here, I want you to get something out of. So if you are watching this, whether now or months from now, and you have questions or thoughts, please drop those into the comments. I am always keeping an eye on these things and would love to revisit and come back to you. Hi, Alyssa. Great to see you too. Thanks for being here. So today we're talking about trust in marketing, and I know that the name of this training isn't something super sexy, like what exactly to write on your website to get booked out. We do have trainings like that, but this one we're talking about trust because it's something that I don't see enough therapists give attention to when it comes to their marketing, because they simply think, well, okay, if I can just get my name out there, right, then I'll get clients. That's what's most important. It's just about being known, right? But actually, trust is so important, and trust, is central to the therapeutic relationship. But if you're marketing effectively, it should actually be central to that too, right? Like the therapeutic relationship, the relationship you have with your ideal clients shouldn't begin the first time you get on the phone with them. Like through your marketing, you actually have the opportunity to create that and to offer them some relationship. It looks like maybe we're having some streaming issues. Hopefully we're not. I hope I'm coming through okay. If I'm being choppy, let me know. But anyway, your relationship with your clients shouldn't start the first time that they call. With your marketing, you have an opportunity to create that connection first and to start to initiate that before you even actually talk to them, before they pick up the phone or you do. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And there's one really fundamental thing I want everyone to understand as we're getting going, is that in business, right, and this is a business, ultimately we do business as people, as consumers, with people, brands, private practices, therapists that we like, that we know, and that we trust. It's called the know, like, trust factor. It's something that's talked about a lot in marketing. And so I want you to just think of the places that you shop. Think of the places you're willing to spend a premium at. Maybe you shop at Whole Foods more often than, Kroger, Publix, or whatever. Like, there's a reason that you do those things. And if you really talk about and look into why that is, and why it is that you are willing to pay that extra, it's because you know, like, and trust those businesses or those brands. Alyssa said my volume's very low. Shoot, okay, maybe I need to scoot up a little bit more. You're gonna get really cropped in on my face. I don't know why Facebook does this. Anyway, sorry for the technical difficulties. But the fact is that we do business with brands we know, like, and trust. And so if you want to grow your client caseload and you want to attract more clients, you have to be knowable, likable, and trustable. Now, so many therapists spend way too much time talking about and thinking about being knowable and maybe being likable, but they drop the trustable. And so that's what we're getting into today. The other really fundamental thing it's important to understand, and this is something we talk about in this group a lot. If you're new here, I really want you to understand this concept of the client journey. Now, when someone decides that they're going to work with you as a therapist, they don't just come to that decision on their own. They actually go through three really important phases. Number one, unaware. Number two, aware. Number three, sure. So they started unaware. They don't know you. They don't know your name. All they know is they have a problem they want help solving, right? And then they could become aware of you. So they learn your name via Google, via via a referral source or psychology, whatever. They become aware of you. Just because they're aware of you doesn't mean they're sure of you. It doesn't mean that they actually know and are confident that they want you to be their therapist. And so when someone goes from unaware to aware, that's the knowledge, right? That's the know part of the know, like, and trust factor. And it's a little bit of the liking, maybe. But it's getting someone from aware to sure, where you need that like and you need that trust. Because the only way they're actually going to decide that you're the therapist for them and not one of the 5 to 7, 9, 11, however many other therapists that studies show us that they're looking at, that is where trust is going to come in, is getting people to that sure stage, which you have to get them to if ultimately they're going to decide to work with you. So really important that we understand the client journey. Now, let's get into the actual 4 ways to increase trust. Number 1, I want you to be present in more than one place. Sometimes I'll get on a strategy session with a therapist, and prior to the strategy session, I will have asked, their website or something, and all they'll send me is a Psychology Today profile. That's okay if they haven't gotten to a website yet. Or they'll send me a website and then I Google them and I can't find them anywhere else. Now think of if you Google a brand that you're interested in and you don't see anything come up. That decreases your trust, right? You're a little bit less certain about them, right? That's exactly what they're going to have with you. And so if you only have a website, you only have a Facebook page, or you only are on Psychology Today, think of that as only. That's the only opportunity you have to build trust with your ideal client. Well, if you are in multiple places, if you have a Psych Today profile, you are on social media or something like that, you have guest blogged and you've written for other websites, you have a website, whatever that is, all these different things, you have a Google My Business profile, all of these things automatically work together to say, hey, I'm legitimate enough, right, to be in multiple places. That inherently creates trust. And so when you Google your name or your practice, what shows up? Hopefully, we see things like your Psychology Today, any other directories you're on, Good Therapy, whatever, your website, hopefully. If I were to go to social media, I may or may not find you there. We talk about social media in this group and why it's right for some and not right for others. But the more channels that are connected to you, the stronger your credibility is. So I really want you to think about, okay, if I have a website, are there any other places I could be showing up? Those are places like, if you're a member of an association of any kind, alumni directories, social media, like I said, Google My Business, showing up on Google via SEO, guest blogging, podcasting. There's so many opportunities for you to become known and seen in multiple places around the World Wide Web. That is going to automatically increase trust with people because they're going to assume that you're legitimate enough, right, to be in all of these areas. That makes you seem more real. So number 1, be present in more than one place. Number 2, this is so important. Use language, please use language that your client understands. You talking in third person about what you're passionate about and all of the different modalities you use and using a bunch of jargon and clinical talk does nothing to build trust with someone. It actually makes you seem intimidating. It makes you seem hard to relate to and really distant and formal and stuffy. And that's the last thing that your ideal client wants in a therapy relationship, right? They're looking for someone that relates to them, that makes them feel seen and understood. And if you're using words that don't help them feel seen or understand, then they're not going to trust you, right? So I really, really want you to remember that marketing fundamentally, it's not about sales, it's not about forcing them to do anything. It's about communication, right? It's about connecting with people. How do you talk to your clients in session? That's exactly how you should be talking in your marketing. So if you read your website right now, specifically your about page, specifically your specialty pages, those are usually the 2 places I see a lot of this happen. And you're talking a lot in a way that maybe only other therapists would understand because you're using a lot of jargon, or you don't sound like you. If you read it out loud, does it not sound or feel like you? Then you're going to be losing out on some opportunities to build trust with people, because if they don't feel conversational with you on your website, why would they assume you're going to be conversational in the therapy room, right? It's about showing them what they can expect in a relationship with you early. It's about saying, here on the website is a really good representation of what it's like to be a client of mine, that kind of thing. So if you want to build trust with your clients, it's so important to use language that your client understands. Your Psychology Today profile needs to be written in a conversational tone. It is not a resume. Please don't treat it as a resume. That's not what people are looking for, right? They're going to trust someone that shows that they understand them. So use your marketing to communicate that instead of all of your experience and that kind of thing, since that isn't going to be nearly as effective. Number 3, if you want to build trust, is to be consistent. Now, consistency comes in a lot of ways in your marketing. And one of the first ones is, I see this happen a lot, and it's with good intentions, but a lot of times I'll see a therapist start to blog and then stop, or start to post on social media, and then it just kind of tapers off. Now think of when you land on a social media page, a Facebook page, or whatever, that hasn't been updated in months or years or something like that. You're like, is this person, are they still in business? Are they still open, Or you land on a blog and one hasn't been posted since, June of 2020 or something like that, it makes you seem like you're not available, right? And so if you can't commit to a marketing strategy, it's better not to do it at all. And I know I just talked about why being like showing up in multiple places is super important for trust, but only if you're doing that on a regular basis. And so if you feel like you can't yet commit to writing regular blogs, I want you to hear that that's okay. I want you to hear that that is a-okay. If you're not ready or you feel that social media isn't right for you, that's okay. Like I said, we've talked about that in other trainings. So it's not to say that you have to add on all of these things that you don't need. It's just simply that whatever you do, I want you to do with excellence. That's what it comes down to. Whatever you do, do it with excellence and do it with consistency, because that's yet another way to build trust with someone. It's the fact that, in marketing and in studies, it shows us that repetition and familiarity, they both build trust. And so repetition, it's okay if you use similar language on your Psychology Day profile and your website, because that's consistent. That makes someone feel like this is the same person, right? What attracted to me to them in their Psychology Day profile is attracting me to them on their website. It's okay to repeat yourself and to build and reinforce yourself across everything, but it's just really important that whatever you're choosing to do, you're committing to be consistent on. Now, another place that consistency can show up in your marketing is in kind of the visuals, right? Is in your website and sort of your branding and that kind of thing. Now, this is something that I work with clients one-on-one on. We'll develop complete brands, we'll build out beautiful websites, and that for some clinicians is a great fit, in which case I love to help them. But even for those that are DIYing, that's perfectly okay too. What I want you to think of if you are in charge of your website design and that kind of thing, I want you to be really, really thoughtful about making sure that your website is conveying your professionalism, right? Actually, the email that went out this week to my list, if you're not on that, click the link in the description of the group. But what we talked about in this week's email was ways you can be professional on your website, and some ways to do that: have a really clean menu, use enough white space, break things up, don't use more than 3 fonts and 3 colors. Those small amounts of consistency and professionalism, again, they lend you credibility and they lend you trust, because someone's landing on your website, realizing visually and having a kind of a subconscious experience with you that feels professional and trustworthy, right? And so when we think about trust in marketing, it's just so much bigger than just someone understanding that you know what you're talking about and that you can help them. It's about kind of thinking about the subconscious experience that they have with you too, and making sure that really augments and boosts the credibility that you're ultimately giving off. So that third one is to be consistent. That's in your marketing, that's showing up regularly on social media or blogging or whatever channels you've committed to, and also making sure that the visual experience someone is having with you is also consistent and familiar, because repetition and familiarity build trust. All right, and then the last one, something we also talk about a lot in this group when it comes to trust, is I want you to assert your expertise. I want you to be the expert, right? This is why niching, this is why choosing a specialty or a handful of specialties is so important. Why? Because people are automatically going to trust you as an expert when you say you're an expert, right? And I know that as a therapist, especially as a therapist, that can be challenging. If you're newer in your practice, it can be harder to say, well, I'm an expert in this. But hear me, the fact is that you are an expert in something. You are an expert in working with teens. You are an expert in grief. To be an expert does not mean to know everything. It means to have dedicated yourself to some area of expertise, right? So whatever your area of expertise is, whether that's a certain age group or a certain challenge, whatever that is, say it. Say that you're the expert. Assert your expertise in these kinds of things. It's why when you land on a website dedicated to grief and loss, you're going to be far more compelled to work with that therapist than the practice down the road that offers grief and loss support, as well as depression, anxiety, addiction, eating disorders, and trauma. I'm going to trust that grief and loss way more as the expert in this space, simply because they've said they're an expert in that space. So honestly, this is probably the easiest of the 4 things when it comes to building trust in your marketing that you can do, is assert your expertise, claim an area of expertise. And hear me when I say that I know that that's hard. That especially if you're newer in your practice or you're still sort of exploring what that is, it can be hard to say, well, what am I an expert in? Who am I to claim areas of expertise? But all you need to do is realize that there's something in a certain area that you can offer your ideal clients. The fact is, you are incredible at what you do. And there are areas that you can help your clients with, so tell them what those areas are. And by naming them, you will automatically create that trust that if you fail to name them, you'll be missing out on, because people will be wondering, well, is this really even the type of therapist that I need? I really need someone that's focused and that can help me with this one problem that I'm facing. If you and your marketing use your marketing to say, I can help you with those things, you're automatically going to form that connection and you're going to build that credibility right off the bat. So friends, these are the 4 ways to build trust with your marketing. Let's go through them one more time. Number 1 is to be present in more than one place. So show up multiple places online, even if that's just a website, a Facebook page, and a Google My Business profile. Even just a couple are going to really, really help bring those things together and build that credibility. Number 2, use language that your client understands. The easiest way to form connection and trust is to prove that you understand someone. So use language that they can understand. Number 3, be consistent. Be consistent in what you post, when you post, how you post it, and the way that you convey yourself visually when it comes to your website and everything that you put out into the internet. And then number 4, please assert your expertise. You are an expert. You are an expert in something. You're allowed to claim that. Say it out loud. Use it in your marketing. Talk about it in your marketing so that you are known as an expert in something. You are known as the specialist that you are, because clients are automatically going to trust you more in those things when you tell them what they are. I hope this is helpful for you, friends. I really, really want to empower therapists to go beyond just feeling like they have to be known in their marketing, to really start building their caseload in a way that feels authentic to them, because they're not just being known, they're building trust, right? So if you have approached marketing in the past and just been like, well, I just have to get my name out there, if I just network enough, or if I just this XYZ, whatever, the fact is that you're missing out on a really critical piece. So hopefully these tips can help you think about, if nothing else, think about your marketing in a different way. How can you get people, not just from unaware to aware? It's not just about ranking on page 1 of Google. It's not just about running a Facebook ad. It's not just about X, Y, or Z. It's about also getting people from knowing you to being sure of you, and it's with trust that you will do that. And I know that you're trustworthy. I know that you're wonderful at what you do, and if you can just use your marketing to convey that, you're going to build that relationship with people. They're going to value what it is that you can offer, and I bet you will start to see your practice grow as a result. So I hope that was helpful for you. I don't see any questions. Alyssa, I've been struggling to consider myself as an expert, so thank you for number 4. Hey, if all you needed was a reminder today that you are an expert, hear me. You are an expert, and you're allowed to say that. You are allowed to say that in your marketing, and your marketing will be so much more effective for it. So, Alyssa, you're so welcome. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for joining me today. Again, questions, comments, drop them into that comment box below. Let's chat. I'll be hanging around throughout the weekend, and we will talk soon.